You got to ask yourself, and now is as good a time as any, am I going to guide my experience by looking at what is, because it's true, and therefore create more of it? Because law of attraction will give me what I give my attention to. Or am I going to ride the rocket of desire that has been born out of it? Am I going to think about what I want? Am I going to let the way I feel be my criteria for the direction of my thought, or whether something is true? Now, we must put this in because we felt it flare up as we said what we said just now. Every person on the planet could read the pamphlet on global warming and could come to a place of devastated fear. And in doing so, you would launch rockets of desire about what you want, and your world would improve because of your awareness of what you don't want, which helps you to be more aware of what you do want. But you could all simultaneously hold yourself apart from what is now in vibrational escrow, which is an even healthier earth. You could, as a mass consciousness, it'll never happen, don't worry, but just speculating, you could, every one of you, turn your attention to things that make you feel awful, and your earth would continue to thrive, but you wouldn't. In other words, you could use any subject in the world as your excuse to deprive yourself of the energy that creates worlds, deprive yourself of all of the things that are in your vibrational escrow. It doesn't matter what you're thinking about. Do you know that you have in your vibrational escrow all those things you want? And you could pick any one thing on the planet that's going wrong or in your life and give it your undivided attention, and you could keep all of those things that you want from happening because you've activated such a vibration of lack over this one thing. Isn't that interesting? Because whatever it is that you use as your excuse to offer your vibration sets the tone for your point of attraction. Haven't you noticed that the worse it gets for a while until you come to your senses? And the better it gets until you fall back into your old habits? In other words, haven't you noticed that you can get on a run where you're feeling really good and things just get better and better and better, and then some old person shows up in your life or something happens and you get refocused, or you watch CNN, or you go to the movie on global warming and you have a sort of resistance relapse? So we want you to feel the power of your life experience. And the reason that we are taking such a dynamic, dramatic approach to it is because you have had such publicity about something that is causing so many of you to think in a negative way about something that matters to you so intensely. And we've been saying to you for a while that this is the time of awakening. And what the time of awakening means is it's a time of greater contrast, which means it's a time of launching more rockets, which means it's a time of more answering, which means it's a time of more energy flowing, which means it's a time when, if you line up with the energy that is creating worlds and the energy that is a vibrational match to who you are, you thrive in enormous ways. And if you don't, you don't thrive in big ways. That's why the rich are richer and the poor are poorer and the well are weller and the sick are sicker. And the middle ground is not as obvious as it once was, because the energy that creates worlds is moving faster than it ever has before, which means it behooves you to find ways to move in the direction of the energy. You don't have to keep up with the energy that creates worlds, but you better be moving in the direction of the energy that creates worlds. Otherwise, it's really hard on you. It's like you're driving down the freeway and you collide with an automobile that's moving the same way that you are. It's not as devastating as if you collide with an automobile that's coming from the other direction. When you get moving in the direction of the energy, you have a much more comfortable ride than when you're bucking the current. When you move against the current that you have been asking for and summoning and has been coming for all of this time, it doesn't work out very well for you. And the first signal that you're doing that is the emotion, the negative emotion that you feel. So the briefest way to explain it is that you are source energy. You come forth into a physical body. Life causes you to ask for more. That asking is then answered by source energy, because source energy gives its undivided attention to what you are asking for. And as law of attraction is responding to this culmination of all that you are, it creates a very powerful calling or source. Do you acknowledge that law of attraction is a factor in your life experience? Have you shown to yourself that when you hold something as your object of attention, sooner or later, and usually sooner, it shows up in your experience? Do you acknowledge that as you have been in this physical body, you have been thinking a lot of thoughts that now make up the basis of your point of attraction? Do you acknowledge that you have thought thoughts before that you're not thinking now, and since you're not thinking them now, it's not part of your basis of attraction? Do you understand that it's only the thought that is actively being thought that is your basis of attraction? Well, please understand that that is so. You didn't feel very confident about that, but we want you to know that thoughts that you thought before are not affecting you now unless you're still thinking them. And so people worry about unconscious thoughts or subconscious thoughts, and we want to say to you, if it's so subconscious or unconscious that you're not having any emotion around it, then it's not big enough that it has any pulling power. So you do acknowledge that your thoughts do create your reality. So now, here's another factor that we want you to consider relative to the law of attraction. And as you wrap your thoughts around this, it's going to serve you enormously well, because this piece of information is going to help you to understand, maybe for the first time, why your guidance system, your emotional guidance system, works in the way that it does. Did you enjoy our analogy of the electricity and the toaster a little bit? And do you acknowledge that you existed as source energy before you came forth into this physical body? And do you accept that that non-physical part of you still remains in non-physical? And would you like to join us in acknowledging that that is an eternal being there? Now, you can call it God, you can call it source energy, you can call it all that is. The name that you give it doesn't matter very much, but it is an eternal consciousness that is expanding and is pure positive energy. So this powerful energy, do you acknowledge that law of attraction responds to that energy in the same way that it responds to what's going on here where you are? And do you acknowledge that that must have been around way longer than you've been around here? So this swirling energy of well-being that has gleaned its existence through the contrast and is always moving toward what is wanted, the most expanded, furthermost part in the universe, can you feel the huge well-being of this energy? And can you feel the comparison of the way law of attraction's response to it must be in relationship to law of attraction's response to you? So now do you understand why the call of source is what it is? Now do you understand why there is a current that is calling you toward well-being? Now do you understand that no matter how much you beat the drum of what you do not want, when you croak, you're going to close that gap? Now do you understand why we are so confident about the well-being of all that is?